Well, I was hoping you I was hoping you would miss that question, but of course, I get asked that question at least once a day. Well, the only way to explain it is my parents had very high hopes. I was named after my uncle, who was a famous doctor back in Gambia, and they wanted me to become just like him, and so they named me Doctor Caramel Cassama after my uncle.
Awesome. And did you? I guess you're not getting into the medical field anytime soon. But did you have hopes that one day that you would have been a doctor?
Well, you should never say never. I mean, I have one degree, but who knows? Maybe one day I'll go back for a second. But as of right now, that's not my focus.
For sure. For sure. Hi there. My name is Ryan Perez, owner of the Hustle Zone. Thank you, Susan, for letting me know that I have no sound. Uh, so this has been a long time since I've been doing the. It's been a couple of months since I've actually done an official Hustle Zone show, and I'm super excited for tonight's guest. But before I go there, I really want to thank all the people that have supported this entrepreneur movement that we've kind of created with the Hustle Zone. You know, we've had people buying the sweater. I don't know if you guys can see that. So we've had people buying the T-shirts and the tank tops. So I really appreciate that. So you want to make sure that you check out Get That Tea. So it's so like Philip Woods. I'm just telling you, that name is really hard to. It's like a tongue twister. Get Dat DATT, and it's get hyphen dat hyphen TEE.com. All of my followers and supporters, if you guys have the link, can you kindly post that in the description? Thank you so much. We are now taking we are opening up the calendar again for people to get interviewed on the Hustle Zone. So make sure that you message me and I'll send you the link, the calendar link to do so. So the other thing too is that we got how many writers? I think we're at 12, 12 writers, one editor, one photographer for the online magazine. So you guys are really pulling through. People are getting mad at me yesterday because I haven't been answering their messages. So folks, just let you know, I run a business, and then on top of that, I run the Hustle Zone. So it's really hard for me to get to everybody, but like I'm getting messages like all day and all night long. You would think I'm Lionel Richie, right? Like I just so many messages. So thank you guys so much for messaging. I will get back to you as soon as possible. But thank you guys again for your support. The Hustle Zone magazine, we don't have a launch date yet because we got to get the content in. But once we get that in, we'll let you know an official launch date. So thank you guys so much. The other thing too is yesterday's show was amazing. We had we started a pilot show called The Great Debate where we were talking about whether MLM is a legitimate business or not, right? So we got some very interesting conversations. So we're going to do that great debate again, and we're going to talk about. Hi Scott, thank you for liking. We're going to talk about prenups. Should you or should you not get a prenup if you're an entrepreneur? I mean, these are questions that, they're very, I don't know, they're really controversial questions, but these are questions that a lot of people ask and a lot of people argue over. So we want to hear your your point of view on that tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune in for that. So I'll let you. We're gonna get to the next part. So the reason why I've been away for so long, and I've been telling you that I've been working on a project that has been, I've been working night and day, and this project, in addition to other projects that I've been working on, but this has been my life for the last 2 months, and I love the project so much because it does such a great thing, and we're going to get into that in a second. But I'm going to blame my guest for the reason why I've been away from you all. I'm going to blame him because he has me working hard. But he is a young entrepreneur, 25 years old. Okay, let that sink in. Let that sink in. 25 years old, and he's started a international company. So he's flying all over the world. He has people flying all over the world, to bring this project that he's working on into fruition. And I had the pleasure in working on the website and actually building the website. And it's the only website of its kind in Canada. Okay, and what he's doing now, I don't know if a lot of you, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs like, oh man, school, I don't like school, but we all know someone that is in school. You probably went to school, you probably went for, took business management or what have you, and if you could remember filling out your application, some of you probably filled your application out by hand, like actually filled out a piece of paper. Others have went onto a website and filled out an application and realized that it was just not really easy to use, and these websites are really hard to use. And then you're just applying to just one website. You're not applying to multiple. The other issue is that you have to pay to apply at some of these schools. You have to pay an admin fee. And so that's also an issue. My guest today has built a website, and we've partnered up, and I've helped build this website that eliminates all those issues. You have an easy form to fill out, and all you have to do is apply once. And I think that's amazing. I think that's awesome. You apply once, you get seen by multiple universities. No admin fees. And Canada, the place where I'm from, being able to study in Canada is a wonderful place to live. And Doc, and his name is Doctor, by the way, and we're going to get to that once I get him on. But his name is Doctor, and he is a brilliant man, and and very ambitious. He's a risk taker. He put this website together, and so I'm going to bring him in a few seconds. But he also was a student here in Canada. He went to the University of Calgary. He was a star football player for the University of Calgary's Dinos. So he he's been in the newspaper. I mean, I've come across, before I met him, I came across what he's done in the past. So, I mean, a lot of people know who he is. And I'm going to stop the rambling, and I'm going to get him on right now. So, everyone, I want you guys to say hello to Mr. Doc Cassama. How are you doing?
Hi, Ryan. I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me on this show.
What did you think about the long-winded introduction?
Well, I was listening to you, and it's hard. It's not easy to always hear someone else talk about you, but you did a great job, so I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I mean, not only are you, like, I'm not bringing you on because you're my client. I'm bringing you on because you are, a phenomenal man. You're a phenomenal person that has built a great website that's going to pretty much revolutionize the way that people do, way that people apply in Canada for universities. So, are you aware of how, what you're doing here?
Well, it's been a long process, Ryan. I'm very thankful for having this opportunity. I think I've been blessed with this idea, but most importantly, the people that are supporting this idea, that are partnered with this business. I think that speaks more volume than the idea itself. And so I'm very excited for what this can do for students, but also for the country of Canada.
So, Doc, you're let's talk about the first and just so that everyone knows, what is the Hustle Zone? The Hustle Zone, we capture the spirit of the entrepreneur. We are trying to establish entrepreneurialism as a culture, as a way of life, as a way of being. The Hustle Zone, a lot of people think that being an entrepreneur is a myth. That that you're almost like a ghost, and if you're really super successful, it's because you had it by luck or because you had money or what have you. But a lot of people don't realize that being an entrepreneur takes a lot of good habits, and we have just different habits. So I just want to start that off. I know I have to start that off every show that I do, but I really want people to understand that we're trying to capture the spirit of the entrepreneur. We want to know what makes the entrepreneur tick. But the first question, before I ask the major question that I normally ask at every Hustle Zone, Doc, is your parents named you doctor. So, and I'm sure because they wanted you to be a doctor. So can you explain about that a little bit?
Well, I was hoping you you would miss that question, but of course, I get asked that question at least once a day. Well, the only way to explain it is my parents had very high hopes. I was named after my uncle, who was a famous doctor back in Gambia, and they wanted me to become just like him, and so they named me Dr. Doc Cassama after my uncle.
Awesome. And did you? I guess you're not getting into the medical field anytime soon. But did you have hopes that one day that you would have been a doctor?
Well, you should never say never. I mean, I have one degree, but who knows? Maybe one day I'll go back for a second. But as of right now, that's not my focus.
For sure. So, Doc, when people would get mad at me if I didn't ask this question, so I'm going to ask the famous question. Doc, tell us your story. So, tell us how it all happened, how it all began, and start from the very beginning. We have all day. So,
start from the beginning.
And folks, I'll just tell you, he's like, yeah, it's going to be about 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, probably not with the Hustle Zone. So we're going to, we have all day to hear about your story. But, you can give us whatever you like, but just let us know
Lord.
how it all happened. How did you become an entrepreneur, and, and even tell us about your football career.
Well, hey, that's a great story. I'll give you guys the short version. I was born in Gambia and moved to Sweden at a young age. For some reason, out of all the sports that you can play in Sweden, the most popular sport is soccer and hockey, but I decided to play American football. And so, it's something that I was good at immediately. And I had a dream at a very young age to earn a scholarship and go overseas and play football in North America. So I worked very hard for that goal, and eventually earned a scholarship at the University of Calgary and came here to pursue football and an education. And so as I came here, that's when I really started growing. So I finished my degree at the University of Calgary. Took football as far as I could, tried out with the Green Bay Packers, and eventually decided to go into business. That's my real passion, and so that's why I'm still in Canada, because it's been so good to me, and Calgary is my home right now.
That's awesome. So, Doc, did you have, when you first, because I guess you immigrated here from, you immigrated here from Sweden so that you could
Right.
pursue your education.
Right.
And with the tensions of, there's a lot of tension in terms of just, flying into a new country where you have to learn new customs and things of that nature. Like, what was your experience, first landing into Canada?
Well, I've been very blessed. I've lived in 3 different continents, and so like I said, I grew up in West Africa. I lived in Sweden, in Europe, and then I moved to North America. So I've lived in different places, and so. But moving to Canada, I was definitely not ready for the weather, the winters. That's the number one thing. But I got used to it, and Canada has been a blessing to me. And there's a reason why I'm still here. But I've never been in a place where people are more welcome. People are, they're helpful. But also, it's a very multicultural place. So no matter where you come from, you feel at home here.
Right. And I mean, being a Canadian, I feel like, especially with what's going on in the world right now, I mean, immigration is a really hot topic. And being Canadian and growing up here, there are some benefits. There's definitely some. I feel like our society. We have a lot of inclusion. Like people just feel like they're together, right? And when I look at, the news right now, we see what's happening with Donald Trump, and with the Syrian refugees, etc. I mean, tensions are very high. So I mean, that's why you started this company to bring people to Canada, because it is a wonderful place. And with Justin Trudeau right now saying, hey, we welcome everyone with open arms. I think that's amazing. So can you expound on, how do you feel with the turmoil that's happening in the international media in terms of, immigration?
Well, I'm not really a politician, but I can only speak from experience, and coming to Canada was the best decision that I made in my life, and for several reasons. But I believe that, I could live anywhere in the world right now, whether go back to Sweden, Europe, or, move to a different country. But Canada has been so good to me. There's so many opportunities here. And the reason why I started this business is because I came here as an international student, and the experience was so good that I decided to stay. Mm-hmm. And so, I know right now the government of Canada has opened the door for international students to come and get an education, and as well as change their lives. That's what happened to me. So Canada really changed my life. And I everywhere I go, whether I go back to Sweden or whether I go to, Asia or Africa, I always found myself bragging about Canada. So the experience I had with coming here, I want to give that same experience to young, women and men that are looking for an opportunity, that are looking to, get educated and achieve their dreams.
So tell me, let's dial it back a little bit. Tell me a little bit about entrepreneurialism. What does entrepreneurialism mean to you?
What does it mean to me? I think it means to follow your passion and do it very well. I think a lot of people settle for less than what they want. I think entrepreneurship is knowing what you're passionate about and and doing that to the best of your ability. And if you can earn an income from it, even better, right?
And what got you into entrepreneurialism? Like, what was the thing that really sparked your passion and the fact that you want to follow your passion? What was the thing that really motivated you to get to this place?
I like I said, my whole life I grew up playing sports. I was very good at football, but when I came to Canada, that's what really that's when I got exposed to entrepreneurship and business. And so in my second year of university, or third year, I was introduced to some mentors that were entrepreneurs, and they took me under their wing as I was in university, and they taught me about business. They taught me about how, life is really short, so we don't have time pursuing things other than our passions. And so they helped me get the mindset and grow myself really, and gave me some really good books that changed my life forever.
And are one of those books Think and Grow Rich?
Absolutely, that's one of them, and there's many more.
And what other books have you read?
Books by John Maxwell. Good leaders ask great questions. There's books by Napoleon Hill. 3 Feet from Gold. There's another book called what is it? What's his name? The Richest Man in Babylon. There's many books that have changed my life, and many different authors.
Wow. You know what book I read? I did read, I believe it's The Richest Man in Babylon, and I don't know if this is the same. Is it about Solomon? Is that book about Solomon?
Yes, it's about a rich, not Solomon, I think. It's about a very wise and wealthy person, but I don't think it's Solomon.
I read a book that was kind of on the similar. It was someone had given it to me, a friend, and it was about King Solomon and how, he never really prayed for wealth, right? He just prayed for wisdom and understanding and whatnot. I mean, I personally am not religious, but I still took the book, at what it was. I mean, and I think as an entrepreneur, we're constantly, just like how you just mentioned all these books, you're constantly learning, and you're wanting to, learn from the greats. You can't just do this on your own. You can't just, some people are lucky, but not everyone.
There's a quote by Will Smith, actually. It says, there's two ways to reach your goals very fast. There's two ways to reach it. One is to go out and run, because you're working your mind, and every time I go out and run, my mind tells me to stop. But when you keep going, you push through. And secondly, there is to read books, because if you want to get from point A to point B, and there's someone that's already done it and they've written it in a book, that's your fastest way of getting there, by reading the book.
Speaking of which, I think there is a shift in terms of education and in people's attitudes towards education. As an entrepreneur, there are people out there that are kind of discounting education. They're saying, well, you don't have to have an education. You don't have to read to be a successful entrepreneur. And I've heard that a few times, but I've heard a lot of people, including Robert Kiyosaki and a few other business people, that say that education, doesn't make you successful. And what is your perspective on that?
My perspective is, I think you have to know what you want. And I think a lot of people go into education not knowing what they want. But I think if you go into education you want to go in there knowing what you want out of the education, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went into education, to be honest, not necessarily knowing what I wanted, but eventually I ended up getting a communications degree because I enjoy, I enjoy public speaking and I enjoy impacting people. But I think, knowledge is only powerful if you use it. And so going into education, I think the key is going in there, knowing what you want out of it. And that way you will get much more out of it than just going in there and not having a clue what you want to do with it.
Right. It's almost like you shouldn't go, if you're not, because you'd have to get into debt, etc. You shouldn't go and waste up your time trying to figure things out. You should kind of have a clear direction on where you, I'm not saying you shouldn't go. I'll take that back. I think that you can learn as much. And I didn't go through the education path, but I was constantly reading textbooks and whatnot, because there's just so much knowledge. But I think you're right. You do have to have a purpose. And do you think that people know their purpose? Especially because, you're 25 years old. Like, are a lot of young people really thinking about their purpose in life?
I don't think so. A lot of people my age or younger, they wouldn't know that. And that's okay. I think it takes time and experience to know that. But for me, going into education definitely helped me to understand what I want out of life. So I'm so thankful for the degree that I have and the opportunity to get educated. I've traveled around the world and I've seen rich neighborhoods and poor neighborhoods. And to be honest, I believe truly that getting educated, that education is an opportunity. And that gives people hope, and I think education is the key to a lot of solutions, right? And I've seen it when I travel to Africa or Asia, where people are not educated all the time, and it's not always easy. But I think giving someone money or giving someone food, they will always come back for more. But when you educate someone, then they have the knowledge and the hope to get things done on their own, right?
Right. Now, speaking of education, let's talk about Education Solutions Canada. So this is a revolutionary website. I believe the first in Canada to recruit students from all over the world, including Canada. Recruit students, or I don't know if it's a recruiting website, but more so it's a place where students can go fill out an application and be seen by multiple people. So can you expound upon that and let everyone know about your company?
Yeah, Education Solutions Canada started, as I said, knowing how great Canada treated me, and so I want to give that same opportunity to kids around the world as well as Canadian kids. So we believe that we have a solution to some of the ways education works in Canada. And so what it is a platform that we've built that any student, whether Canadian or international, can apply from anywhere in the world. And they create a profile, and then we give access to universities and colleges to view your profile. So we kept, the biggest thing is we want to keep the student in mind, and we want to create a win-win situation for the student as well as the university institutions. For the student, we're saying, hey, instead of you applying to 10 or 20 different, 10 or 5 different universities and paying multiple application fees, the students are a big asset to the universities. So I believe that the students should apply for free, and then we give access to multiple universities to look at the student profile, which gives the student a much higher chance of getting accepted, right? And of course, Canada is I think the best country to live in and to get your education, and so that's why we started this thing.
And and it's not just you. I mean, you run a corporation, and so you have other teammates that have helped you build this initiative.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Right. I say, to me, Education Solutions Canada, the people that are involved in it, the three directors, myself, Barbara Cox and Sandra Wigg, that speaks more volume to me than anything else. I like to brag about my team. There's a lot more people involved, but when I created this thing, I knew that in order to be successful in any venture, you need a really strong team. So we have a really diverse team of myself and our vice president, who's Barbara Cox, who's very experienced in the business world and comes from a different background than me. And then we have a Sandra Wigg, who's worked with these universities for years and years, and so she understands the struggles that national students as well as international students go through. So we have a team of diverse backgrounds, but together we make a very strong team.
Right, and so and then upon building the website, before you built the website, what was going in your mind, and did you think that you were going to be able to achieve what you've built now?
Well, one thing I've learned is you take an idea from your head and you try to implement it. One thing I've learned is a lot more work than you expected, and building this website has been a tremendous experience, and I feel like we overachieved our goals in terms of building the website, and thanks to you and what you've done, Ryan. But we're very happy with the product, and we're constantly going to have to improve this because we're dealing with students, and we are putting the students first. We want to make this thing as user-friendly as possible for the students, because a lot of students, the feedback we've got is that going on to these different university sites and trying to apply for an application, it's very hard, and it's very time-consuming, and it's very how do you explain it? It's not an easy thing to grasp right away, right? So what we've done is we've built an easier way for any student to apply from anywhere in the world and be seen by multiple schools. So two things. We want to save the student time and money. Those are the two things we kept in mind when we built this website, we're saying to the student, hey, we want to save you time, which is the most important thing you can have is time. And secondly, we want to save you money, which is what we have achieved so far.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So now I have 4 questions to ask you in pertaining to this website.
Okay.
First thing is scholarships. I mean, when it comes to students abroad, a lot of them are looking for scholarships. Do you provide scholarships at all?
Correct. We do provide a scholarship. Right now, we have an opportunity for students to win an Education Solutions Canada scholarship that we're giving out as a company to a student that is coming to Canada and starting their studies. And that's one thing we're going to increase to do as a company. Every year we're going to give out more scholarships and help more students get educated. And as well as we do direct students to a lot of governmental scholarships that students are not aware of. I mean, there's so much scholarships available in Canada in terms of what the government can offer, but students are not aware, so they don't apply. So what we want to do is help them become aware and apply for some of those.
That's awesome. I think that's a great thing, because, I mean, every little bit counts, especially when you want to travel overseas. And,
Right.
every little bit can count because, I mean, like, you got grandma, you got your aunties and uncles, everyone has high hopes for you. And,
For sure.
They want to see you do well, so people are, mortgaging their houses. They're doing whatever they can so that their children can get a better education. So I think that the fact that you guys are offering a scholarship, I think that's amazing. Now, speaking of the scholarships, the cost of studying in Canada, what would the cost be for a student?
Well, the costs right now are in favor compared to a lot of countries. Coming to Canada, you're looking at about, depending on what program you study, but you look as an international student, you're looking at about between $12,000 to $30,000 in tuition, right, on a yearly basis, and then you're looking at about $10,000 for living expenses, right? That's an international student, but a Canadian student, you're paying about $5,000 to $6,000 for tuition a year, and then you're paying a $10,000 in living expenses.
Wow. When it comes to so with all those expenses, how are people paying for it? So can students come in, study, and work at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, like I said, the biggest countries right now for studying abroad in the past has been U.S., Australia, and UK. And keep in mind the prices that I just told you are a lot more in those countries than Canada right now. And so Canada has the best prices in terms, for international students. And but still, I mean, it is a big investment for any student, right? But so you have to be financially viable to study in Canada, as well as you have to have the drive. But yes, you can work while you study. I did some working while I was in university, and that way you can pay for yourself as well.
Right. Now, what makes you eligible to study in Canada? Like, what are the universities asking for a lot of these students?
For a lot of these students, it's if you're coming internationally, you need to they look at your transcript. So you need to be able to speak English or French, right? So you need to have proof of English requirements, right? Depending on what country you come from, and then they look at the rest of your transcripts, and then they look at if you're financially able to pay for school in Canada. So if you have those two things together, I think you can get accepted. And for national students, for Canadian students, they look at your transcripts and see what kind of student you are, and they accept you based on that.
Awesome. Now, Edward Steele, who is watching live, he says, I think institutional education in developing countries, it does have a greater impact. However, in developed countries, and he says that in quotation marks, we have the opportunity for alternative education, books, self-study, experience, and everything else. I am always for experience and apprenticeship with trial and error, with book reading, not just book reading for 18 years. Action is everything. Again, this is an entrepreneurial show, so we always know that there's alternatives, because even for me as an entrepreneur, I got, my education through my mentors and through reading books, self-study, etc. But I'll never discount education, because I think that, I think people that are born here in Canada, I think that we don't really see the value in education. But I know my uncles, my family from overseas, they see the opportunity because I mean, there's so much, like, no matter what, education gives you options, and the more you invest in yourself, the better you become. And I think that, Doc, what you're doing is amazing because you're allowing people just to get to that next level because they're following their passions. And, however you want to go about your life and to follow your dreams. But I think that if you have the opportunity, because I know with my son, I'm going to make sure that that he's going to get his education. I think that that's important. So, Ease, I don't know if that's how you pronounce your name. He says, I guess this is referring to your comment earlier, Doc. He says that the movement would be great.
Yeah.
There are ways to reach your goals very fast. Yes. Okay, we got Sadiq, and he's like, "Go Canada!"
Awesome, that's awesome.
We got Sharon in the room, and he's saying, "Raise the roof." And Susan, thank you again for your support. But yeah. We don't discount, like, education just gives options, and it is your choice. That's the other thing, is that in Canada, it is a choice. It's exactly what you want to do. But, there are so many things and so many positions that we can be. You just have to apply yourself and figure out the path that is going to be the best for you. But so, Doc, tell us a little bit about what's the future for ESC.
Well, the future for ESC is to serve as many students as possible, students in Canada as well as students internationally around the world. And so our goal is to help as many people as possible achieve their goals and visions in life. And so that's the future for ESC.
Oh, that's awesome. And do you have any other business ventures that you would want to participate in?
Other business ventures?
Yeah. Anything in the future that you're thinking that you want to get into once you've built this company?
Well, hey, I feel like I just started my acting career. So I hope to get on the Hustle Zone TV again.
Yeah, most definitely. So
absolutely,
we're going to get into our second line of questioning, and before we go, first question is, what's your favorite dessert?
My favorite dessert, that has to be key lime pie, most definitely.
Key lime pie, what is that? I've never tried that before.
Well, you have to. There's a place called Cactus Club here in town, in Calgary, so you'd have to visit that place.
I know. Yeah. Cactus Club is really good. They got really good food. So what motivates you?
What motivates me? I think one of the best quotes I've heard, it was I think it was Zig Ziglar, I believe, or someone else. And right now, what motivates me is to help as many people as I can. And I think what determines a successful life, I believe, is when you help someone, and when that person shares their testimony, your name comes up. That means you've helped that person. And so so that's what motivates me, is helping as many people as I can.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest
pet peeve. What's the biggest thing that irritates you?
Traffic. Being stuck in traffic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, sorry, my camera is fuzzy, but let me trying to wave it. It's like not catching the. Oh, we're back. Okay, and who are the people in your life that give you the most encouragement?
The most encouragement, I would say, right now, my business partners in Barbara Cox and Sandra